when COVID came along, I supplemented my income by driving for Uber. And I had Reiki on my license plate spelled R with a double E at the end. I would find that young men in their early 30s, late 20s, they'd be like, could you tell me a little bit about this Reiki stuff? I literally, Deb, would be sitting in a Cumberland driveway at 2 a.m. and they'd be like, could you do 5 minutes on my shoulder from an old football injury? I had one young woman, she got in the front seat and she had 3 friends in the back. And I was, oh, you do Reiki and do you do readings? And this one young woman in the front, she said, is there anybody around me? I had picked up that her grandfather was there. And she just burst into tears. She's like, I miss him so much. And so it was like, I can't tell you how many Uber rides I gave where it was just so interactive and people would get out and they'd be like, this is the best part of our night.
Rare Medium with Deb Snyder, celebrating life's rarities, the people, places, and experiences that just might be a little bit weird. This podcast explores all facets of our energetic connections to each other and beyond. We'll dive into the depths of mediumship, psychic ability, intuition, near-death experiences, afterlife research, healing modalities, and more. Our focus is to bring you relevant and moving accounts with guests who share their authentic selves and their treks into the spiritual and energetic realms. We'll learn how those experiences shifted their perspective on life itself. Join us to be inspired by everyday people on their extraordinary journeys into the rare medium of the mystical world. Topics discussed on Rare Medium by the host and guests are presented for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional, legal, or medical advice. Hello and welcome to Rare Medium. I'm your host, Deb Snyder. I am very happy to have with me today Jane Macomber, who has been a friend of mine for well over 20 years. Jane and I met at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, while we were both students of James Van Praagh, he did both a basic and an advanced training in mediumship. So that's where Jane and I became fast friends. And obviously, over 20 years later, here we are. Welcome, Jane. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and I'm excited for you to start this new journey and to be a part of it.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you a part of it with me. Now, Jane wears many hats, but it all has to do with how energy moves through us. She's a Reiki master, a psychic medium, a spiritual advisor, and also an artist. Now, Jane, tell me, we love hearing people's origin stories. How did you come into your abilities?
So as a child, I used to find things. My grandmother would always say, oh, Jane, I lost this. It started very early with finding things. I've just always been interested in the supernatural. We used to call it ESP. And so my 7th and 8th grade teacher actually did some ESP for our science class. He said, oh, you girls are interested in this? Let's make a class out of it. Let's do some science work behind it. And I always scored the highest. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s, I would say, that I actually started really focusing and learning and going to the conferences and doing automatic writing. So my brother had said that he had been trying to do some automatic writing, but as he called it, he was getting hen scratchings. And it was an instant knowing. I just knew I could do it. Well, I didn't try it for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and I couldn't sleep at night. So I just got up, I got some pen and paper, and my hand just started going. It's often just scribbles and figure eights, which when people are learning to rewrite, if they've lost the ability to write, figure eights is one of the ways they train people. Then my sister and I, we sat down and she said, let's ask a question. And so it just started writing. What I found were the thoughts were coming into my head as I was doing the automatic writing. That's how it began.
That's really cool. I have not tried automatic writing myself, but hearing you talk about that, of course, figure eights is this infinity symbol.
It is.
As well. You can see how that would be opening up things. I will have to try automatic writing sometime. I've never attempted it, but I have heard. And who's that medium? Is it Tyler Henry? He does a
Yes.
lot
Yes.
pen on paper, which is really kind of cool. And that's kind of how he gets into his zone. So, hey, folks, it's just so amazing how it's different for every single one of us. I will have to say that sounds like a pretty cool teacher.
Yeah.
You had it. Now, ES stands for extra sensory perception. That is a term that is still used in the scientific community. That's still kind of how they refer to it when they're doing studies on it. You can definitely Google ESP. You're right, Jane. That is definitely one of the terms that I was most familiar with. I think it's interesting how in different countries they use different terms for it. Like over in the UK, they use seer.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So being a seer, which of course refers to clairvoyance. Very interesting. Now, tell us a little bit about your work as a Reiki master. When I was on your socials, I saw tremendously positive reviews and feedback from people on the healings that you offer them. Talk a little bit about how that unfolded for you.
Okay. So I was living in Portland, Maine, and I was working with a woman. We were staging houses for a real estate dealer, cleaning, packing, organizing. And she said, would you like to do a Reiki level 1 class with me? And I thought, that might be fun. I wasn't looking to become a healer or a Reiki practitioner. And as soon as we walked into the teacher's house, I just knew my life had changed. I was like, I need to do this. At the end of the class, when we were working on each other, and there were only 2 other students, my friend and I, and another woman. And as I was working on the other woman, my teacher, her eyes kind of got wide and she said, you're glowing. I can see light coming off of your body.
Wow.
So I just went right out the gate. I borrowed a massage table from my cousin, who's a massage therapist. And I just started calling friends up and said, who would like free Reiki? I'm doing this. Because I had already been doing the intuitive work, this was in 2015, so 11 years ago. Messages do come through when you're doing Reiki. It was just a natural flow. So the first woman I worked on, my friend Maddie, I had a message about a past life that she had had. And she had had a reading like 15 years before. The exact same past life came up in the reading 15 years before. That was a really good first Reiki session for me to have because I was like, oh, this is so cool. I have worked in yoga studios. I had a little space in my home at one point. And that's what I hope to do here in Massachusetts is get a space and do more of that. I also do distant Reiki. And I work as if the person were there. I'm in my room doing all my stuff. My brother, the first time I did distant Reiki for my brother, he was in San Francisco. And he just had a surgery on his shoulder. And he texted me, he's like, I'm doing too much with my shoulder. Could you do some of that distant Reiki? So I went into my Reiki space in my house and I just started working over the table as if he were there. I was just doing everything as if he were right there. And I'm hearing my phone ding. When I got done, I did an hour session. I looked at my phone and there were messages. He said, whatever you're doing, it's working. I like to describe Reiki as giving you a jump start. So it's universal life force energy is flowing through me to connect with your universal life force energy, giving it a jump start to get it flowing again where it needs to go. It's fabulous. I can't say enough good things about Reiki.
It's wonderful. I have done a little bit of Reiki training myself, mostly in use for my daughter, helping my daughter. We had an experience when she was at the hospital and we witnessed, my husband and I, she was going in for a procedure. We witnessed the anesthesiologist, without saying a word, we watched him perform energy healing on her to get her relaxed before going in. I write about this in my book, Intuitive Parenting. Mark and I just were there sort of astounded. Without medication, he got her from being sort of like jumpy in the bright lights of a pre-op room, which anyone knows those are chaotic rooms. He got her settled right down and just sound asleep before they moved her into what would be where everything actually got started. And my husband's like, is he doing like, I'm like, doing something. And I was so respectful of the fact that here's this very trained man, officially trained person, a doctor that was also utilizing these skills he had picked up in different places in his life, his own journey. And for someone like us that kind of has sensitivity to energy, you could see
See,
You could see
yes.
the shift and you could see him positively manipulating the energy around Reagan. I personally love doing those types of sessions with my daughter and with my cats
Yes.
because the cats can show you instantly how they feel about it. And they're not trying to make you feel better or anything. They're not trying to give you an ego boost. They just often like roll over and go, oh yeah, right there.
Yeah. Yes.
Wonderful.
I've worked on dogs. I used to do dog sitting in Portland, and I used to do Reiki on dogs a lot. And it's just fabulous. It really is. When COVID came along, I supplemented my income by driving for Uber in Portland. And I had Reiki on my license plate, spelled R with a double E at the end. I would find that young men in their early 30s, late 20s, they'd be like, could you tell me a little bit about this Reiki stuff? I literally, Deb, would be sitting in a Cumberland driveway at 2 a.m. and they'd be like, could you do 5 minutes on my shoulder from an old football
Oh,
injury?
wow.
So it's fascinating. I found it so fascinating that young men are really, really interested in all of this woo-woo energy, whatever you want to call it. And the girls love the readings. I had one young woman, she got in the front seat and she had three friends in the back. And they're like, oh, you do Reiki? Do you do readings? This one young woman in the front, she said, is there anybody around me? And I had picked up that her grandfather was there. And she just burst into tears. She's like, I miss him so much. I can't tell you how many Uber rides I gave where it was just so interactive and people would get out and they'd be like, this is the best part of our night. We haven't even gotten out of the Uber ride.
What a gift from the universe.
Oh,
You really can't get out of the way of spirit when something needs to happen like that. I think that you have a book idea right there, Jane, in writing about your journeys as an Uber driver, a Reiki psychic medium Uber driver.
well, you actually hit the nail on the head because in the summer of 2022, my niece spent a month with me and she's a night owl. So I would go into Portland and drive until 1 or 2 in the morning and get home. And she would be awake. I would be telling her all my Uber stories. And she said, you've got to write a book or a screenplay. The best part of my day is hearing about your Uber stories. And so fate would have it. I had a drinking problem when I was a teenager. That's how I really came into my spirituality. I took a year off of high school and I just walked around my town talking to God. That's how I describe it. And then went back to high school, quit drinking. So I've been sober and I thankfully got my license after I got sober. And I was known as the road warrior. That was all my friends. I was the road warrior. After my niece suggested I write a book, I started just hitting on my steering wheel, make a note. It's hooked up to my Bluetooth through my phone. So I would just do a little blurb about my ride. So I actually have a book in the works and it's going to be called, thanks to my cousin Libby, shout out to Libby, who gave me the name. She said, call it Diary of a Road Warrior. So that's in the works.
Well, I look forward to hearing all those stories. That's amazing. We had a number of years ago, I live in a larger home, old home, 1800s home in Maine, and we had done a little bit of Airbnb for our upper rooms that we weren't using because a lot of people come into this community, whether it be in the winter for skiing or whether it be in the summer for the lakes. We didn't do it for very long because life takes over and you have to go in a different direction. Having that experience, I was amazed at the number of people that would come through my doors that you realize were spirit sent.
Yes.
One couple had come in and I recognized the energy of her sister right on her as she walked in. I had known her sister here in town and she had passed on, but I'd never met her before.
Right.
And I spoke her sister's name and she, couldn't believe it because she didn't know that I could sense that who her sister was. It led to a beautiful several hours conversation, just a wonderful interaction for all of us. We had a couple of instances where people, as you had said, you're a spiritual advisor. Sometimes that really comes through where people are brought to you for a certain reason because you're supposed to have that conversation over coffee.
Yes.
And it really helps people shift. And oftentimes for them just to hear from someone other than themselves or their own fears, their own expectations, their own projections, they just sort of hear things that can help them work it out.
Exactly.
I think that's a beautiful gift when the universe puts us together that way.
It really is. And I have to say, I wasn't looking to become a Reiki master. I wasn't looking to become an Uber driver for that long a period, but it turned out I'd done almost 12,000 rides. And people
Wow.
are like, oh, you must have great drunk stories. That's what everybody wants to hear. And I said, I can tell you, Deb, honestly, I never had a bad Uber ride. It was all about connections. And as Maine, I don't know if you've heard this phrase about Maine, but Maine, the whole state is just like a big little town. And so
Absolutely.
I would pick up
Absolutely.
people. I picked up a woman from Rumford, which is where my ancestors from Italy settled. And her dentist was my dad's first cousin. Her whole life, her dentist. I picked up kids I babysat. So this was one story where the Uber story where I picked up this woman, found out I grew up in Castine, which is mid-coast Maine, and I used to
Beautiful.
babysit her. And we were crying and hugging. It's all about connection. Absolutely fabulous.
Oh, it's wonderful. Maine is like one big small town. When you think of it, we have just over 1 million
Yes.
statewide, I
Yep.
believe, the population. And when you think of other large cities in our country, they have 6 million in one city. Maine, the people are very independent and loving. And I have been here my entire life. And I do travel, but every time I travel, I can't wait to get back home. Now, Jane, I am really captivated by your art.
Thank you.
You can follow Jane on her socials. I'll make sure I link them in the description of the show. It's right up my alley. It's really cool and eclectic and interesting. It's the type of abstract art. Now you create that with layered photography. Is that how that works?
I do. I started doing photography when I was 20. My dad bought me an old school 35 millimeter where you do everything yourself. And he gave me a few pointers. He was a self-taught photographer. And I said, well, what else can you tell me? And he said, if you want to learn how to take pictures, just go take pictures. I have over 100,000 images on my iPhone.
Wow.
Probably 10 or 12 years ago, I started messing around on my laptop with a few filters that were part of the computer. And then all these art filters start coming out. So I started playing around and sometimes I'm going for a very specific look. Like if I want to do a Van Gogh-y thing, I use the Van Gogh. But what I'd like to do most, which is where I create all of this abstract art, very colorful, because color is a part of my healing too. I do a lot of color work in my healing. I'll just overlay and then I might switch to another app and try this. And sometimes I am so surprised at what comes out. I think I told you before, I use crystals, I use the moon, I use the sun, I use water. I try to capture the energy of nature a lot and infuse that. And then I top it off with a layer of Reiki, I guess you'd say. And it's an amazing, amazing force.
Do you consider your art also a creation of your Reiki energy that you're utilizing?
I do. I do a lot of bold colors. I want to just bring happiness to the world. I want to bring it any way I can, whether it's an Uber ride and helping people. And it's a two-way street. They help me. I
Absolutely.
have made friends. I've made so many friends through all of it. I just want to promote love. It's all love. For me, my mom, when I was younger, she told me God is everywhere. And I imagined it as all these little sparkling crosses because that was the only context I had at a young age. We didn't go to church a lot, but a little bit. And my mom, I have to say, she was like just the most loving, loving person. I feel very lucky to have had so much love instilled literally since I was born.
That's amazing. Now, you proudly refer to your sobriety. Congratulations
thank you.
on that. How do you feel your sobriety helps you as a healer?
Well, I understand because I've been through that. I mean, I went through a very, very dark period as a teenager. I was suicidal. I was depressed. As I mentioned, I quit high school. I feel like it's made me relatable to people. I haven't had an easy life all the time. I have worked on a lot of addicts. I worked on a man who was just visiting my neighbor. He's like, oh, you do Reiki and readings. Could we do a little? He was an alcoholic and he fell right asleep on my Reiki table. When we were done, I gently woke him up and he said, usually takes me 3 hours to get to sleep. I think having lived that life and come out of it on a positive end is really like I said, it makes me relatable. I've been anorexic. After I quit drinking, I did kind of transfer that. I became anorexic for about a year. All the challenges we have, you can use them for good. You can.
Absolutely. I believe our soul's journey, the tapestry of our lives, it all matters.
It does.
Every color, every fiber woven in helps us be the unique person that we are. And the cool thing is that doesn't stop.
Right. Yes, exactly.
We just keep adding layers and colors. And that's kind of what keeps me interested and excited about life. As I look back over everything I've gone through, like yourself, there's some extremely challenging experiences there, yet grateful for the good, the bad, the ugly,
Yes.
all of it, because it makes you who you are and it makes you handle what you're going through with a little more ease. You think, wow, what's next?
Right. Exactly. Yes. I'm a lover of life. I'm a lover of learning. Like I said, with the podcast and the shows, I listen to so many things, and music too. Music for me that was when I first started doing the automatic writing. A lot of the messages coming through were how music could heal the world. Now that I have experienced so much of life since then, it's been about 25 years since I started doing the automatic writing, sound healing and tuning forks. There's just, like you said, there's layers and layers and they never stop.
That's right. And it's good for folks to know we do have different tools in our toolbox.
Yes.
So, and it can be what you choose to use. People who use literal tools, they have a favorite hammer, a favorite screwdriver, different things they utilize. And we're all different in that. The fact that you can have a psychic medium reading with a little bit of Reiki, with a little bit of this, it makes it uniquely you, so that the people that you're working with can receive your energy signature. And it combines with their energy signature and makes it a truly unique experience.
Yes. And one thing I want to say is it's very important to meet people where they're at. I had a woman that I worked with for about a year and a half, and she told me, we started doing readings and then it turned into some distant Reiki and then therapeutic intuitive counseling. She told me right off the bat, I know I need to leave my boyfriend, but I'm not ready to. So please don't go there. And I respected that. That is one thing that I am good at, is meeting people where they're at and respecting their boundaries. You have to respect, like you said, when it resonates, it resonates. I always tell people I might not be everybody's cup of tea. You want to find somebody who's going to resonate with you and your needs at the time.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things Jane and I were talking about off camera before we started this was that we're at the place in our lives where we are losing some of our own mentors who are passing on. And it's time for us to be stepping into those later stages of our work in which we hope to pass along what we've learned to people much younger than ourselves. My husband and I joke, someone will walk by and they'll do something, we're realizing, oh, geez, we're like triple that person. They must think, we had these cute little boys next door were like causing a lot of ruckus. And I went out to check the mail and they just stood up like, good morning, mail. And I was laughing because I'm pretty laid back.
Yes, you are.
They were like thinking, oh, we're going to get in trouble with grandma. And it's funny because as individuals and with your peers, you don't think of yourselves necessarily that way. To realize these little 10-year-old boys, yes, I am significantly older than they are.
I have a nephew who's 10, actually, and I spent the last 2 weeks bringing him to summer camp, dropping him off and picking him up. I love children, but you're right. He asked me the other day, he's like, how old are you? And I said, I'm 62. And he said, no, you're not.
We're like, oh, good.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. I feel like I'm about 35.
Well, that is one thing is, chronological age doesn't really matter. You have to think about vibrational, how we feel, vivacious.
Yes.
There are things you have to respect about your body as they enter different stages of life, certainly. I know that for sure. I'm always teasing my husband, who's a bit older than I am. He continually sees himself as like a 18-year-old.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe 25. It works well for him because he's very active and he deals with health challenges like everyone else,
right.
but better than he would have. He's out there still on a mountain bike at his age.
Oh, that's great. That's great. My oldest brother, Rob, he still plays basketball, and I think he's going to be 68 in October. He'll play pickup games in like South Portland when he's traveling back and forth between Vermont and Maine.
That's the way to do it. For me, it's like live life.
Well,
I've been dealing with some health challenges. That's one of the reasons why I actually started the podcast is I was going through health complexities, medical complexities, and I was so annoyed with it because it was occupying so much of my time and so much of my thoughts and so much of my energy that I was over it. Even though I'm still dealing with stuff, I was like, can we talk about something else? I realized it was up to me to do that shift, that even though I still deal with stuff, I can open my heart, my mind, my actions to make a choice and do something differently. That's actually one of the things that finally got me off my butt to launch the podcast. I wanted to make sure I was doing my part to connect with people throughout the world in a positive way and share myself and people, wonderful people like yourself with the world. We love the positive weirdness of people.
Yes, absolutely.
Share positive stories.
Absolutely. And I admire you so much, Deb. You have so much grace and you're just lovely.
Such a dear friend for me all these years. I want people to understand Jane and I don't get to see each other.
No.
We probably haven't been in the same room with each other for 15 years, but we stay connected because we choose to stay connected, whether it's texting, a private note, an occasional voice exchange. We resonate and we like to nurture that relationship, but yet we're not codependent. We know that each other is out there thinking wonderful thoughts for each other. So it's a beautiful friendship and I'm so grateful for it.
I am as well.
Now, Jane, before I let you go, on Rare Medium, we do what's called Rare Medium's 10QQ.
Okay.
So I ask the same 10 quick questions of every guest and they're done in rapid fire.
Okay.
I ask that people don't over-explain, just try to answer them.
Okay.
So are you ready for the 10QQ?
I am.
Okay, let's go. Do you believe in the afterlife?
Absolutely, 100%.
What was your age in the best year of your life so far?
18.
Who is your favorite musical artist?
John Lennon.
Where would you most like to travel?
Egypt.
What person inspired you the most?
My mother.
If you could be in an entirely different profession, what would it be?
A teacher for children, working with children.
What are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my 2 sons, Justin and Caleb, and my family. I have a big family.
Do you love yourself?
Absolutely, 100%. More today than ever.
What do you most regret?
Not finishing college.
In a word or two, what is your advice for your fellow humans?
Be your authentic self. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear hold you back. Love, 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 love.
Great advice, Jane. Great advice. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We are looking forward to your book. Get on that, lady.
This has been a good push for me. Now that I have this new computer, I'm going to...
Yay. Well, we'll definitely make sure to have you back on when the book comes out, because we certainly want to be part of the celebration for that.
Oh, thank you so much for everything, Deb. You are a sweetheart. You are somebody who's so special to me.
No, thank you, my friend.
You are welcome. Thank you.
This has been Rare Medium with Deb Snyder. Please subscribe in your favorite channel and leave any comments you'd like us to see. To learn more, visit debsnyder.com or heartglow.org.